Well, hello, Bob. Welcome to WG Content's Unscripted. It's so nice to have you.
Thanks for inviting me. It's fun to be here.
Yes, you're in for a treat. We get to learn all about you. So, Bob Sprague is the founding and managing partner for the agency Yes and. If you're not familiar with Yes and, you should be. Very cool company, very cool agency. You guys do some really neat work in our space and really growing in healthcare. So, it's so nice to have you join me for 15 minutes. I think you know what you're in for, right? So we have a list of questions here in front of me, and I'm just going to start asking you a bunch of questions to get to know you better. Are you ready?
I guess so.
All right, here we go. What hobby do you wish you had more time for?
Boy, I've got so many. It was a little hard to pick. I'm gonna say tennis,
Hmm.
um, because I need it. It's something that I took up fairly late in life, and I can't say I'm very good, but it's very satisfying anyway, and gets you running around.
Yeah.
It's been pointed out it's a good social sport where in between games you tend to uh, let your hair down a little bit, and they say so much about the
Yeah.
social interaction being probably the biggest factor in longevity, and I think
Right.
about that a lot these days.
Yeah. So now the trick is for you. Like, I feel like everyone is doing pickleball.
Hmm.
So you're like competing on these courts for like tennis and pickleball. And then there's people that are super passionate about pickleball, and
Yes,
there's ones that are super passionate about tennis. So it sounds like you're just starting to play or just learning to play.
oh, I know I've been playing about 10 years, but
Okay.
compared to the people who played in high school and got good in college,
Hmm.
I never had that grounding, so it's been a
Well, good for you.
process. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, and that's a good hobby you can travel with too, right? Like when you're, on vacations,
right,
you can always find a
right.
tennis court.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. All right. Well, next question. If you could swap jobs with anyone for a day, who would it be?
Well, I had to think about that a little bit, but I came up with John Williams, the film composer.
Okay.
If you
Remind
probably,
me what work, what body of work, what films? I'm not sure I know.
well, his first big hit was Jaws, so
Oh,
he's
of
the one
course.
who wrote
Okay.
that. Went on to Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Schindler's List and just about everything
Okay, I know
Spielberg
all those
done
movies. I'm
since then.
surprised I didn't
So,
know the name off the top of my head.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's part of the attraction for me is he's kind of a behind the scenes figure, but uh, terribly productive, just lots and lots of stuff. And then as if that wasn't enough, he became music director for the Boston Pops um, for a number of years as well. So has been conducting them, and he's now on the uh, elderly side, but quite a body of work that guy has.
Seriously, yeah. We
Yeah.
had, well, wasn't it last year? It was the 50th anniversary for Jaws. Did you know that?
No, I didn't,
Yeah,
but it's
last
about
year
to
we
be.
did. We had like every 4th of July we have we gather with some of our friends at our little lake house, and we
Uh,
were like, "Oh my gosh, it's the 50th anniversary of Jaws." And so we had a big Jaws party. So that's why I know it was the 50th anniversary, which is crazy because it's like I feel like how could I have been around for Jaws like when it came out? I mean, it's just like weird how time flies, right?
are there a lot of shark attacks in your lake
No,
there?
no.
Okay,
But we
that would be
did
worrisome.
blow up this huge like screen, and we had an outdoor speaker and we had a projector. So we all watched the
Yes.
movie from the lake, from either floating in the lake or sitting on your boat from the lake. So it does add a whole new kind of
I
feeling
guess
watching that movie on any water. So, and you have a music background, is that right?
that is right.
So
That
tell
was
me about that.
well, played a lot of music in high school and went to college for uh, piano and composition. Got my degree in music. The actual, and I toured for about 7 years after that. And then the company was actually founded as a music production company, and we did a lot of it in the early days,
Hmm.
and gradually evolved into the full service agency it is now. But
Okay.
music still sort of animates a lot of our th thought process, I think.
I think that's I've met people, in this career who are in marketing that have music backgrounds. And so it's interesting how there's this common thread. Of course, not everyone, but it's pretty much a pattern of like that music, the left brain, right brain that come together with music that I guess really creates just incredibly creative people, where they have that analytic side and also the real creative side. Is that how you would describe like that background and how it's really served you well in leading this agency?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people will say, "Wow, how'd you go from being a music
Yeah.
man to this?" And I say, "It really wasn't that big a shift because
Yeah.
in music, you're doing a lot of things that advertising tries to do. You're trying to evoke emotion and attract
Storytelling.
attention and do
Mm-hmm.
something innovative, but you have to have a very strong foundation in
Mm-hmm.
structure and
Mm-hmm.
storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the disciplines are the same. I
Mm-hmm.
recently wrote a little piece for Fast Company about what improvisation and jazz can teach us in the business world. And it struck a
Oh,
nerve because there were some really good comments attached to that article. So I've been milking it for all it's worth.
yeah. Okay, you got to send that to me. I want to read it.
Okay.
Do you play an instrument?
Yeah, not very much anymore. I was a keyboard player. This was when I was doing it professionally, it was in the days of Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman and the other keyboard gods. And so the idea was to surround yourself with as many of these keyboard instruments as you
Mm,
possibly could. Um,
mm-hmm.
so that was me for a few years, and I had studied classical piano in college, so um, my pandemic project was to practice a good deal, which I did until I blew my arm out playing tennis. But
Mm.
I should get back to it one of these days.
Who knew tennis is going to compromise your
A lot
instrument,
of the same
your,
muscles,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, Bob, what was your first job?
Um, well, a lot of people have said I never had a job because I started in bands and did music and then formed a company, and so I've basically never worked for anybody else. But um, so my first, paying activities were playing in bands in high school and
Mm,
turned into a career for a while.
yeah. Where did you grow up?
Bethesda, Maryland, so
Okay.
DC area.
Okay. And so you grew up, where did you end up going to college?
I went to Catholic University, which is the best music school in the DC
Okay.
area.
Okay.
Uh,
So you really, from a young age, had the musical bug and it went through high school, through college, and even into your adult life.
yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, what's on your someday I want to do that list? Play in a
Um,
band on stage somewhere? You've done that. What is next for you?
done that. Now I'll do a complete switcheroo and say I want to take a extended train trip through Switzerland.
Mm,
I also want to do that in the Rocky Mountains, but
hmm
Switzerland has the Alps, and the trains go through the countryside and
hmm
dart in and out of tunnels, and
Have you
uh,
done it before?
not in Switzerland, no.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I actually well, 2 years ago did just that. Was in my son, my oldest son was doing a study abroad and he ended his
mhm.
2 months in Switzerland. So we went and met him and we were on trains for an entire, I mean, and you're right, just how you described it. I mean, you were going through the most amazing mountain ranges and seeing cows just walking by and the waterfalls and everything about it is, and every train is like impeccable, and the
Yes,
windows, like the entire train is like it's like encapsulated by glass. I mean, so you're seeing everything, and
that's what I'm talking
it's
about.
quite an experience. And my
Yes.
favorite spot that we stayed in was Wengen. So if you do end
Mhm.
up going, take a train to Wengen, which is
Okay.
Wengen.
Okay.
Cute little Swiss village, and getting there is stunning. It's beautiful.
Want to do that.
Yeah.
I've been to Switzerland, but it's a it's a bigger country than some people
Oh, of
think.
course. Yeah.
the trains are all in the south. The fun trains are in the southern part in the Alps, and then I was in Interlaken, which is beautiful
Yeah,
too.
I was there
So,
too. Yeah.
yeah.
That's where all the hang gliders are coming around and
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That's a really neat. That's where I was like having dinner one night and all of a sudden you hear the cowbells, and the
Uh-huh.
the cows are coming down the street, those big Highlander cows with their big bells and it's like it's just a normal activity. And it's just the most precious, charming thing I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
Like it's just like out of a movie. Really is. Well, I love that someday to-do list. We'll have to hold you accountable to that one.
Okay. Okay.
Check
That's
up
too
on you
bad.
and see when your trip to Switzerland is planned. All right, so if you could shadow anyone for a day, who would it be?
Well, it was John Williams again, if I can double up on that, just that at least in his heyday, I think it would be a lot of fun to um, I think I wrote down the old quote about, writing about music is like dancing about architecture. You can't really talk to somebody and have them tell
Mm-hmm.
you how they write music and how they
Mm-hmm.
certainly spit out the music for a feature film 3 or 4 times a year, but just being there and watching the process and seeing how he would interact with the directors and the
Mm-hmm.
technical people, and then going to a scoring session where they watch the movie and have a full symphony orchestra playing along with it. I think would be a pretty awesome experience, but
It
don't know
sounds
I'll
like,
ever make that one.
yeah, it sounds like you've actually thought about this before. You've got it all orchestrated exactly how it would go.
Well, I touched on it some in the
Yeah,
I said the company started out doing music, and we used to
yeah.
do music for the United Way is right down the street. And so a lot of the commercials and films that they would produce at the time, we wrote the music for. And on a couple of the larger budget ones, we were able to go into the studio and do it with real string sections. And there's uh, there's nothing quite like the sense of power you have when you're standing in front of 60 or 80 musicians, and
Mm-hmm.
how all you have is a little stick, and you get to
Yeah,
make them do things.
that's so cool. So, I mean, is there any kind of like what sort of music do you listen to today? I suppose you probably enjoy all music, but is there some a particular genre or a band or anything that?
Um, yeah, I get around. I've been uh, kind of into some indie rock kind of stuff
Hmm.
recently, which is fun. But I also I find that when I'm working, I can't uh, write very well if I'm listening to words
Hmm.
in music. So I started listening to Brazilian jazz, which has
Oh,
words, but I
beautiful.
can't understand
Yeah,
any of them. So it's,
yeah,
it's very relaxing, but it
yeah,
doesn't bother me thinking about other things. So
yeah.
I listen
I
to
know.
that. I don't listen to classical.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much content, like whether it's, TV shows, movies, music, podcasts, like there's so much out there. Like, it can be a bit overwhelming, trying to find what you enjoy and then you're just, on to the next thing because there's so many options out there. So, all right. So what helps you? This is our last question, and then we have just one final question. But what helps you
Okay.
reset when things feel busy or overwhelming?
Um, I remind myself of a quote I heard once. It was a poet, and I meant to write his name down and I forget, but he said the quote was, "Anger is living in the past and fear is living in the future, so live in the present."
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly find, if I'm stewing about something, it's either, something that I wish had gone better in the past or
Yeah.
something that I'm worried about in the future. And when I realized the only thing that really exists is
Mm-hmm.
right now, and as soon as I say it, that doesn't exist anymore. And what
Mm-hmm.
hasn't happened yet doesn't exist. That I find very calming in the face
Mm-hmm.
of great challenges.
Well, and it's tough. I mean, the power of being present, when you have a discipline and can be and really practice presence, it's great. But boy, it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do. I mean, we're always thinking about, I heard it differently where it was like the past is depression, the future is anxiety.
Hmm.
And that's why today is, the most important is like that's really where you are. That's where your feet are. That's what's most important. But that's hard for all of us to
It is, and
practice.
it's why it's so important to find something that puts you in a flow state.
Yeah.
I can get in a flow state when I'm writing music or
Mm-hmm.
or playing tennis or
Mm-hmm.
probably riding through Switzerland in a train. All
Yeah.
those things would, you know, you lose yourself in them and time disappears
Yeah.
and you realize that you have no idea what you've been thinking about for the last hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of a sudden it's time for
Like
dinner and then
meditation. Yeah.
it's like meditation and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's got to be very healthy.
Yeah. So what's bringing you joy these days?
Um, what's bringing me joy is when I have people tell me that I've been helpful to them personally. Um, and it's ties into some of your other questions in the sense of, I think that I have always been a maker uh, of music and other things. And for a long time, I confused the issue of thinking that people were going to like me if I created or did great things, which doesn't mean that doing that is bad, but it's a bad way to measure yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, if someone says I was helpful to them or kind to them or helped them out of a funk or something like that, that's what sticks with me these days and
Mm-hmm.
gives me a lot of joy.
And do you find that I mean, because I think even the reverse of that, like telling other people, when they've helped you out or they've made a difference, practicing that too and remembering to go back to people that have, I don't know, helped you or made a difference or whatever, is just as powerful too. Because sometimes it's like feels just as good to be able to pass that along to someone than it is to receive it as well. So that's our takeaway from our conversation, right? We're going to go out there and just do our good and share all the kind words with others, right?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Well, it's been so nice to spend this time with you and get to know you a little bit better. I hope our paths cross in person in the near future. I know we have work that's crossing paths, so maybe we'll have that chance.
That would be great. That would be
Yeah.
great.
All right. Well, you take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Kirsten.
Take care.